Hello and welcome back, Old Outdoor Broad here. And today we're going to continue our tech trek and talk a little bit about Gaia GPS. First of all, however, it is Women's College World Series weekend. So, woohoo! Go Bruins! Yes, I am a UCLA fan and wishing the Bruins well. I believe they play later today at 4 o'clock. So that being said, let's go ahead and stop the tomfoolery and let's talk a little bit about Gaia GPS. Now, as always, my disclaimer, I'm going to share with you how I use the app. There's a lot you can do with this app. And I'm hardly an expert, but if you choose to use it, this should get you started and then you can go from there. So let's start checking it out. Let's start with looking at the phone aspect of the app because that's what you use in the field. Okay, so here we are. We're looking at my phone app for Gaia GPS. And typically how this works is that whatever you were looking at the last time you opened the app, that's what's going to appear. When you first get the app, most likely what's going to happen is you're going to get the home page because you've never been in it. But this is what I was looking at last, and that's why it came up when I opened the app. So a couple of quick things here that I want to touch on. First of all, at the very bottom, from left to right, you'll see map, trip, home, saved, and settings. So currently, greened in, we're looking at map. So this is what I was looking at, and this is Pinnacles National Park and a couple of hikes I took while I was there. Trip is something I've never used, so can't really talk too much about that. Home takes a minute here, but there we go. Just stuff on the home page. This is Gaia GPS is owned by Outside Magazine, the same group that owns that. So that's why you see things that are associated with Outside Magazine. Saved is going to be all your saved items, anything that you saved. And I just save wholesale, but I'll talk more about that when I get to the website because that's where I use most of this stuff. And then settings just allows you to make choices about how maps and whatnot appear to you when you're using the app. So let's go back to map. And just a couple other things I want to touch on here. In the bottom left, you see 4 circles in a row. Right now, I'm just going to focus on the bottom one, what looks like stacks of paper. That's map overlays. So here are the map overlays that are currently active on the map I'm looking at. Gaia Overland, Nat Geo Trails Illustrated, USGS Topo, and Gaia Topo. So a couple of things about these. Nat Geo Trails Illustrated is discontinued. You'll hear more about that in a little bit. Gaia Topo is nice. It's an amalgam of some street mapping and then, of course, topographical and maps with trails. Typically, there are a fair amount of trails that are known that are on that. And of course, you know, the topographical information. So it's kind of nice in that regard. So it's, unless you turn it off, it's always there. USGS Topo is exactly what it says it is. And if you're using those, you know it has cool things on it like mines and tanks and things like that are not on the Gaia Topo. And then we're going to skip Nat Geo up to Gaia Overland. Now, I do not overland. However, this I have found out is a nice overlay for when you're, say, in a wildlife refuge or BLM land, just open land, because it will have dirt roads and things like that don't appear necessarily on the USGS Topo or on the Gaia Topo for that matter. Now, as always, if you're going to use this stuff a lot, I recommend get an account. And in this case, some of these overlays you have to pay for. They're not included in the free version of Gaia. They're pay for. So I do have a premium subscription. For example, the Gaia Overland is a paid overlay. So I have a subscription, so I have access to that. All right, so let's drop that down. The other thing I want to show you, if you go to the bottom right, first of all, the search function, that's very basic. It's like any other search function. Just put in what you're looking for, in the area, and it'll help you find it. So it says hike, park, address, trails, things like that. And then that green plus sign right above that, hit that. Alrighty, so the menu that comes up is at the top, that square with the circles, that's the area symbol. So if you want to create an area, put boundaries around a specific area you want to explore, you can do that with that tool. Right below that is the route symbol, the squiggly line with the two circles. So the same thing, if you want to create a route, and then have it on your map, you can use that tool to do that. Camera. Now, this is how you take pictures through the app. That's where you access that from. And then waypoint. If you wish to add a waypoint, so for instance, you're hiking and you see an interesting rock formation and you want to be able to take somebody back to it, then you would use that to create a waypoint. Okay, so here I am. I am in Pinnacles National Park, and I'm in the campground, and I'm starting out this portion of the video in the shade so that I can see my phone. I've got Gaia, you're looking at Gaia GPS on my phone, and this is the Nat Geo Illustrated Trails map overlay. Now, what's interesting about that is I like this overlay, but I got a notification that Gaia is not using it anymore, discontinuing it. So I was really surprised when this popped up, but it popped up and here it is. So that's what we'll do. So if you look down at the lower left, you'll see a batch of arrows on the top and a dot, 3D, I've never used that. The little triangle, that's the compass pointer. And then the stacks of paper, that's map layers. You choose your layers. So what I do is when I'm out in the field and I'm taking a hike, I record my routes. Okay, so this is my primary use. It's the way I keep track of everything I've done. Pictures will match. I think I may have mentioned if you take a picture during the hike through the app, it will show it when you save a file, you save a trip, save a route. If you take pictures outside of the app, it'll know because of the GPS coordinates, and it'll actually show it on the map when you're putting the little package together. So when I start, you tap the little compass pointer in the lower left, and that's going to center it, and you can see it's blue right there in the middle of the screen. And then go up to the upper left to that red dot, and you hit that red dot. I'm going to hit hiking, and you see now back in the upper left how the seconds are ticking off. It's now recording the track. So I'm going to walk, and I'm going to walk a little ways, and what you'll see is the compass pointer will point in the direction that you're heading, and then it's going to leave a little track in some color. Now at the end, when you save your route, you save your hike, you can change colors and pick it if you want, or you can just leave it the way the app did it. So I'm going to walk a little bit. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger so you can see the little trail that it's making. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? I don't know why I did that. It just popped into my head. Okay, so you can see the little tail there of the route. It's making it kind of a slate blue color. And I'm going to walk a little bit more down to down a little dip and up again and back into some shade so I can see it, and then I won't bore you with my rambling anymore. You'll get the idea. Okay, so that's enough. Let me get up in a better shady spot here. So you can see where it's at. So go back up into the upper left red box. You'll see the total time is just under 2 minutes. So I'm going to hit that, and I can pause recording. I do this when I take lunch or a prolonged break, and then I resume. You can hit delete, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to finish this so I can show you what it brings you. So you can edit the title, Wednesday Lunch Hiking. That's because it's around 1:30. Any notes you want to add at this time you can do. And then customize appearance. You see how it's that slate color? You can choose a different color if you want. And if you're using folders to save things, you can put it in the folder. If you just want to save Wednesday Lunch Hiking, you just hit save, and it will be in your saved items. So again, go down to the bottom of the screen. You see map, trip, home, and saved. Let's tap saved and see Wednesday Lunch Hiking. There it is, and it'll bring it up and anything you put in. Let's see, yesterday I did that. Old Pinnacles and Balconies, and so there's the route in orange. Tells you 8.7 miles, how long I took, and other things like that. Now when I get home and on my laptop, I'll match up the pictures I took, and I'll put together a little package, and then in my saved items, I'll have this when I want to reminisce about hiking in Pinnacles National Park. Now we're home, and we're looking at the website. So this is the website for Gaia. And just like with the phone, it's going to pull up and show you whatever it was that you were last looking at. You see how it highlights things as I move the cursor over them. So let's take a look at the menu options and differences here on the website. First of all, overlays. Now I called the stacks of paper overlays. I guess they're actually layers. Overlays are things you want to see on your maps. So waypoints, waypoint labels, you can add text to your waypoints. Any routes, so you can see all my waypoints and routes are on here. Tracks you may have made, areas you may have created, public tracks, saved trails, all these things will appear unless you ask them not to appear on the maps, regardless of what map layer you're using. Layers are exactly what we saw on the phone. There's nothing new there. Same with saved items. Saved items are exactly what you saw on the phone, so nothing new there, but we will come back to that. And then preferences is interesting because it's just a couple of things. Distance units, metric versus imperial, so kilometers versus miles, and coordinate format, decimal degrees, and then you have a couple other options, and those don't mean anything to me. If they do to you, then there you go. You've got the power to make a change and make it more like what you want. And then there's the create. Now this is the same, almost the same stuff as when we hit the plus sign in the green button. You can create waypoints, and you can do that here from your computer. I did use this once when I went to the Dark Sky Festival, the Great Orion Dark Sky Festival, because it's out in the middle of the desert. And what they did was they sent us an email, the GPS coordinates of where the camp area was. And so I was able to create a waypoint with those coordinates and then put it on the map. And then when I was driving out there, I had it available to me. So there's one reason you may want to create a waypoint in advance of a trip. You can create a route. I have tried that. To me, it's cumbersome, but you can do it. You can create an area. Same thing. I've tried that, but it's cumbersome. But if you need to do those things, the ability is here. Import data from another source, and of course, you can print the map once you have created it. If you want to take a paper copy, you create your route, put some waypoints of things you want to see, and then print it and take it with you. All right, but what I primarily do with the website stuff is I put together a package wherein I can revisit these hikes and see the pictures I took in the context of the hike and share it with friends. Hey, here I went here. Here's where I went, and here are the pictures I took. Also, I share it on social media. So let's take a look at, excuse me, how this works. So let's click Saved Items. And as you can see, I have 259 items. Now, one of the reasons there's so many is because all these waypoints, these are all waypoints. And you see how they say PXL, that's pixel? Those are all pictures. So all these waypoints on the map, again, they're not manual waypoints, except that one that says parking. These aren't manual. These are pictures. And once I import the pictures, because a picture has GPS coordinates attached to it, it puts it on the right place on your route that you recorded. And what's funny is when I started putting together these packages, I figured, okay, all those waypoints individually would disappear because now they're a part of a little package, but it doesn't work that way. So that's why I have 5,000, okay, maybe not 5,000, but a lot of saved items. So let's find the track that we just made, which is Wednesday lunch hiking. And there it is right there. Now, before we start clicking this stuff, there is a bug, and I have reported it, and I'm probably not the only one. What is supposed to happen when you open this is, see the map to the left right here? It's supposed to bring that map up, but it's not doing that. Ironically, every time I click one, it's sending me to Yosemite. Don't ask me why, it's just what's happening. But we can work with that. So let's go ahead and open that up. And there is Wednesday lunch hiking. Okay, so right now it's showing the right thing. But here's what I'm talking about. Now, we want to maybe add pictures and do things. So in order to do that, we need to go to Open Details page. And this is where it's going to show the wrong map. So there we are in Yosemite. And you can see I did attach a picture, but I didn't like my previous recording. So I made it again. But let's go and find Pinnacles. So we're going to zoom out on this map. Pinnacles isn't that far map-wise from Yosemite. But it does something really interesting here. And I'll show it to you a couple times. So there's Pinnacles. So we kind of center it, and now we're going to zoom back in. But see this little blue dot right there? Keep an eye on that area as I zoom in. Now see how that blue dot right there turned into a tail? So it's interesting to me how far out, zoomed out you can be and still see that, because that's what this is. This is, let me scroll up here, Wednesday lunch hiking in Pinnacles National Park. So it knows that. That's why you see that. And I have other tracks in Pinnacles, and it doesn't show those. Okay, so this is the little track we made to demo how it works. And then if you want, let's just do this. Hit the upload or edit photos. Now we'll kind of do it backwards. So I put this photo on just for fun because it's in the campground. But let's suppose I don't like it. You click this, and this gives you two options. You can set as the cover. It's the only picture I have. It's going to be the cover. But if you have 6, 10, whatever, multiple pictures, and you have one that you want to be first, you can set this, excuse me, and I'll show you that more about that in a minute. But for right now, let's delete it. You can also delete it. Okay, then click done. And now you have no photos. All right, so you go to Open Details page, and this is where you put together your little package. So you can edit notes. So I put quick walk in campground, and let's just add one more thing, great weather. All right, and you hit save, and it'll keep any notes that you put in. Now let's look at how to add photos, and let me talk about pictures. So I did mention how to take pictures through the app, and I think I touched on how difficult it is if you do that to use those pictures for other things, to get to them and use them for other things. So I completely stopped taking pictures through the app. If you did that while you're hiking, all your pictures are going to be here. This is really easy. Not that it isn't easy now, but I mean, it's all there for you. It does it for you. The thing is, sometimes I like these pictures and I want to share a picture, a specific picture on social media, or I want to send a clump of pictures, just the pictures without anything else, to a person. Or more likely than that, I want to send these batch of pictures to a digital frame. So it's really hard to get pictures that you took through the Gaia app out of the Gaia server and say into Google Drive or OneDrive or wherever it is that you keep your pictures. And then, of course, you can access them and use them as you see fit. You can do it one by one, but you cannot do a group. You can't just click on a bunch of pictures and have them sent over to OneDrive, let's say. So again, that's why I stopped taking pictures through the app. Now I do it separately. I just access my camera separately on my phone and take the pictures. So when I make these little packages, that means I have to add photos, but this is really easy. Just click add photos. You can drag and drop or browse files. Let's go here and I'll find that file again because it's close to where I was. All right, and this is my new toy, so we're gonna put put that in here. It's gonna take a couple seconds. You can also, of course, select multiple pictures if they're all lined up in a row. You can use the CTRL key on your computer and select multiple pictures. So one will load very quickly. And as you saw when we first started, it's going to appear here. And there it is. So there's my new toy. That's in the campsite. And of course, it brings me right back up to this. Now I'm going to go out of this and come back. So as you can see up at the top, there are two tabs. This is in a separate tab. There's no back. So I'm going to close that. Takes me back to here. I'm going to close that out. I'm going to go back to saved items. And I am going to pull up the balconies, Old Pinnacle's balconies. All right, so here it is. And let's go to the open details page again. We're going to have to probably leave Yosemite and find Pinnacles again in order for everything to match. But I want to show you a couple things here. So this is a completed package that I have done. So you can see all the notes that I wrote about this hike. I took a total of 14 pictures, so they're all here. So now let's go and find Pinnacles again. Hopefully they'll have this fixed soon. It's not bad here because they're relatively close, but if you were in a different state and a long ways away, this would really be a pain. Now you see that orange jumps out right away. There's two things about that. So see, part of the program knows what you're looking at, but obviously the other part doesn't. So because it's a longer hike than the little less than 2-minute stroll in the campground, and because it's a bright orange instead of that slate, it shows up almost right away. That's just another way that with this bug is making these things kind of easy to find. So let's just make this right. And there it is. So there's my hike. So here's what one of the things that's really cool about this, if you click view all 14 photos, look what it brings up. Now, it continually goes on this one. I don't know why, but let's go back to the first. I always take a selfie at the trailhead. And what I want you to watch, I'm going to play this. It's going to match the picture with a waypoint on the map. And for a brief moment, while it's transitioning between pictures, you're going to see that waypoint. So let's just hit play and see what happens here. See the waypoint? So it will take you through all the pictures. It'll show each waypoint so you know where on the trail this was. Cloudy day. It looks deserted, but there are actually quite a few people out there. Do bring a light. That's in my notes. You will need it. Yeah, I had to go through that. And there's coming out the other side of the caves. That's the Balconies Caves. Just some interesting fauna along the way. Butterfly there, if you can't tell. And that's it. So I think that's really cool, that little slideshow that it puts together for you. Really nice. Okay, and then I do share these in total. So right up here, right above the picture, is the share options. Download stats image, copy share link. That's typically what I do. Embed as HTML. I've never tried that. I'll have to do that one of these days. When you click copy share link, what it's going to do is it's going to copy it onto your clipboard, and then you're going to access the clipboard, and then you can, from there, put the link wherever you want it, in an email, again, a post on social media, whatever it is that you want to do. So this is my primary use for the website applications in Gaia GPS. Okay, so a couple of quick closing remarks and tips, if you will. Well, this isn't a tip, but just for those of you who noticed, I said fauna instead of flora for the picture of one of the flowers that I had taken. So now please note that correction. Um, so here are tips and tricks and things to note. First of all, if you're going to be recording routes when you're out and about, that uses up phone battery. So be sure that once you start your route, you put the app in the background, number one, and then kill the screen, number two. For the most part, my battery lasts fine. Keep in mind, it isn't just recording the route, which it's doing and taking power. I'm taking pictures too, and you're probably going to do the same. So start out with a fully charged phone. Don't start out at 50%, and manage your phone for power saving, and you should be okay. Now, because I am who I am, I carry a spare battery, and I make sure it's fully charged when I leave on my trip, and I make sure it's going to work. You know, you plug something into it, it's actually going to charge. And I had to do this in Zion. When I was in Zion, I was on that Hop Valley connector. So I was recording the route. I was taking pictures. It was beautiful. So I was taking a lot of pictures. And then it snowed. And so I took a couple videos of snow and hail. And at this point, I noticed that my battery was down around 40%. So I went ahead and hooked up my battery. I have a cable, of course, and I kept my phone and everything going through the end of the hike. So, I mean, be prepared. So that's one thing to think of if you're going to do this kind of thing. The other thing that's really nice, I didn't really talk a lot about navigation because I don't use it a lot for navigation. But if you're recording your route and you get lost, obviously you have the ability to backtrack real easily. All you got to do is turn around. The pointer is always going to point in the direction you're going. And it's really easy to just follow the route that you've been making all the way back to where you started. So in that regard, That's really, really nice. I also mentioned that I put a waypoint on for the Great Orion Dark Sky Festival. Now, here's another really cool thing. And again, I can't speak to Apple because I'm an Android user and I have a connected car. So when you are using Android Auto, you have access to your apps. And in this situation with the Great Orion Dark Sky Festival, I wasn't walking to the campground, I was driving to it, right? But it's off road. You leave the main highway and now you're on a couple of dirt roads, and Google Maps is no longer your best choice. And plus, your waypoint isn't going to show up on Google Maps, right? But it is in Gaia. So I was able to switch over in Android Auto to Gaia. And now I see the dirt road. Remember, I said Gaia Overland will show dirt roads. Well, my waypoint is there, and I can see that, yeah, I'm on the right dirt road heading in the right direction towards this campsite. So that's really cool feature too, is the ability to switch to Gaia in certain situations where you need vehicle navigation. You can do that. Well, I hope this has been useful and helpful. And as always, I really appreciate you watching. Thanks so much for joining me. And I will see you in the old outdoors. Thanks again.